guys, we are inside of our Eagle bus. It has been sitting, not being worked on for, I mean, at least a year and a half,
Yeah,
maybe even
a
2 years.
Yep.
If you saw the outside of it, you would be shocked because it was beautiful when we first brought it home.
It was
And
old when we first got it, though. It's still old, so it just looks like we haven't really played with it in a while, which we haven't. So,
yeah, it's accurate. The outside needs to be pressure washed, and we'll do that.
so there's still very plans to renovating this. We just have to find the right time and place to do it. Uh, the right time and place don't feel like it's now because we are not in our. We don't feel like we're stable enough to start working on this. This basically takes a place of other work that we could be doing that would make us more stable. Stable meaning a permanent residence. The residence that we're in, as you guys know, is her mother's, and she's passed. She's recently deceased. And so, how long we're going to be here or what, we don't know yet. We don't want to make this our permanent residence. We would like this to be our kind of like temporary or backup residence. And we're hoping to get a different land up and running so we can go move there. And when we do that, then we want to work on this bad boy, bring it there, you know, get it turned into a new place to live as well,
Yeah.
in addition to our home.
Yeah, you guys might be familiar with this if you have any interest in living in an RV or renovating a bus or basically taking your family anywhere that's going to be a mobile home situation. The challenge with that we have found is that the government is not terribly excited about kids not having a stable
Permanent
address.
residence. Yep.
Yeah, so it's not good enough to just say we're going to travel and we'll just have a PO box to get our mail.
Right.
You need to have a residence. And so it was just nice. It just worked out well for us that when my mom was living, she had a permanent address and a place for us to bring this
Mm-hmm.
bus. And she also supported the dream of us being on the road, having a family member who says, I think it's great, even if the government doesn't think it's great.
Right.
That was something that was a huge benefit for us. So we brought the bus home, and mom's address was going to be our permanent address going forward. Since she passed away and didn't own this home, now Aaron and I have had to revisit our plans. And that means not only the timeline of work getting done, it's also the cost of renovating the bus. And now we have on top of that the issue of what do you do for permanent address? We don't want to have a mortgage. And so for us, the issue has been, do we try to just stay at my mom's house and pay for this place?
Which would be a mortgage, whether it be ours or not.
Yeah.
It would end up being the same end result, right?
Yeah.
So it's either that or get our own land, build a home on the property. It doesn't have to be big; it can be small.
Yeah.
Move the bus there, do the renovation there. It would end up making another building on the property.
Yeah.
And that seemed to be the most appealing to us, at least in the short term. Long term being that we would have our own property and multiple buildings on the property that we can live in and have our kids go in. This could be turned into a single person home, like for my mother, her mother-in-law,
Yeah.
or potentially anybody else in the family that would like it. And even our kids, they could, as they get older, they could go into this and make this their permanent, residence on the property. But this would be just an extension, therefore, of the home. We would still have a permanent residence that would be a real home and be a normal residence, and it would just have other buildings on it.
Yeah. So I think for some people, not everyone, but for folks who get excited about watching a project in progress, it can seem really off-putting to have a family start a project and then not show progress on it. But there's a much bigger picture here. One of the significant things that's happened for us in terms of a change of our opinion about something, my mom, we considered her to be young, agile, and healthy.
Yep.
And because we ended up having to do hospice at this location, it kind of cued us into the fact that we're getting older and we still have two parents who are living.
Yes.
And we want to be able to offer those parents the same thing that my mom had, where if they get into a situation where they become ill and it is known that they are terminal, but you still have to survive and have a good life as much as you can while you're living. We want to have a place where we can provide that. So not only do we need a home to tell the government, even if we're traveling, this is our permanent
Right.
address. And then also, in addition to that, we wanted to find a county to move to where they will allow a small home to count as a home.
Right.
Because some places you can't build a tiny home. You think you can, you buy land out in the country, and then you're told, no, you have to have 1,000 square foot building.
Yep.
The county we are trying to buy land in right now, we've been under contract for 4 months. We've had many extensions, but we're still under contract for a piece of land that is in a county where you can build a home as small as 500 square feet.
Well, it's just pretty small. I mean,
That's pretty small.
it's not quite tiny home small. So even a large tiny home is around 400 square feet.
Yeah.
But it's really cool that you could build something really tiny. In fact,
Yeah.
when we were talking about it, we were talking about building something anywhere between 600 and 900 square feet.
Yeah.
And that would have been, the 900 square feet would be having a lot extra room that we really didn't even need. We're just considering doing it.
Yeah.
Like our family now operates completely in the RV, and we like it. We have enough space to do anything we want to do, and the RV is so small. Like, I mean, it's 37 foot from end to end,
Yeah.
but the actual square footage is really tiny. I don't even know what it is, but I guarantee it's probably less than half of that 200 or that 500 square feet.
Well, the other thing about the RV that's been good for us is that it's actually the bus is either right around the same space or a little bit smaller because it doesn't have slides.
Right.
So the thing is, it gives us a real idea of can you maneuver and live and be happy in a small space. And so while we're waiting on converting the bus, we're getting this wonderful real life experience that I will tell you 100% we're changing the floor plan. Like
Yep.
we had set up a floor plan and we made like a digital model and we're so excited about it. But now I can tell you that's not going to work.
Yeah.
And so it's just, it's good to go through the process.
Well, yeah, that plus, even though we said it's going to change, it doesn't mean that the floor plan for this bus wasn't a good, successful, potential floor plan. It would have been if that's our primary residence.
Yeah.
Now that it might be just an additional building, then we can make it anything we want. We can make it just a bedroom or a bedroom and some bathrooms. Let's say if we had a mother come over, right? An in-law suite.
Yeah.
Then we can make something small for her where she's got a decent sized bed. She's got one toilet, one shower. She doesn't need a lot of seating. Maybe just one seating area. You could definitely turn it into something nice and have a lot of extra room for her to do whatever she needs to do.
Well, and you can see how this has kind of naturally evolved for us, where we were going to use my mom's house as the permanent address and we were going to live in the bus and travel in the bus.
Yep.
Now that we have to come up with our own permanent residence, and because we're going to have to build it, we needed a place to live while we were doing that. So it's really kind of scrapped the original idea and
Sort of.
turned it, not scrapped, what's the word? Like
it's refactored.
Yeah.
So as a software engineer, refactoring is a thing we do sometimes where we go back to a solution that might have worked, but maybe can work better or can bring in some new variables. We do something called refactoring. This is a refactoring of our original plan. So original plan was to have no mortgage,
Yeah.
be on the road, or could be on the road. Even if we didn't travel a lot, we could travel anytime. So we had a mobile command center,
Yeah.
and still have a permanent address we can hark back to that'd be taken care of by my mother-in-law, her mother.
Yeah.
Since her mother's gone, that means that mortgage falls on us. And so if we wanted to have a mortgage-less area or a base of operations that we say, I have no mortgage here, this is my permanent address,
Yeah.
we can buy some land, build a permanent address on there. That way there'd be no mortgage. Yes, there'd be a lot of lump sums of money,
Yeah.
but then it would allow us to travel when we wanted to travel. And that's really what we want.
Yeah, so at this point, our funds have been diverted into these other ventures. And so the RV was the first thing that we put our resources into, that RV.
Yep.
And then we've now been putting resources into land because we didn't realize this, but it's cumbersome trying to figure out the finances of how to use what you have in hand and use credit to leverage, what things you can make payments on and what things you need to have the money for immediately. So I will tell you that the bus conversion plans are actually back on the calendar, and we've made our purchase of the sealant.
Well, they're back in the future, but they're not necessarily on a calendar. We don't have a date, so
We don't have a date,
so
but
calendar is probably the wrong word.
well,
But
here's the thing. I think we had mentioned to you guys that we were going to be going with a very expensive, like $2,000 roof sealant. We kind of scrapped that idea and looked at what the least expensive viable option was.
Yep.
So we bought some Henry roof sealant, and I'm really excited about it. We actually were able to buy it at the local Home Depot.
Yep.
The challenge is that the product we were going to buy was fast drying. The product we did buy is not. It takes 72 hours to dry and seal and whatever that's called, like cure.
Yep, sure, yeah. So it's basically gonna take a couple steps here.
Yeah.
She's gonna have to get some 1 or 2 days or more of clear skies to then do rust removal and cleaning. So she's gonna clean the surface, rust remove on the inside, on the outside, around the area where we're gonna be placing the sealant. Then she's going to have another 3 days, at least, at the very least, maybe 4 days of clear skies, so she can paint the roof
Yeah.
with a new sealant and give it a few days, 3 days to cure.
Yeah, kind of remarkably, it is August now in 2020, and since I bought the sealant, every single day has rained. Every day, which
Yep.
it's great for climate because that means that it's not as hot in the RV. But I was really excited about doing the sealant. I'm like, Dad, come over, we're gonna film. And he said, you know that there's no day of no rain coming. I'm like, what? And it's been true. Like for 3 weeks, it's rained every day. So we just checked the 10-day forecast, and until the forecast actually says that we'll have 3 days with no rain, I'm not even gonna get started. So that's coming. But for Aaron, his priority has been making sure we have a stable home.
Yep.
And so whenever I've said, can we talk about the bus, he is averse to really putting this as a priority until we have a home.
Yeah, you have to do things in the right order. I mean, having that sealant is fine. It would actually help stop the degradation of the bus
Yeah.
more by helping protecting moisture from getting in through the roof.
Yeah.
And potentially stopping or preventing a lot of the rusting. So that's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
But it's just a stopgap until we move this to another property. Therefore, we can work on it for real.
Yeah.
And again, we'll be working on it with the idea that it's designed to be another building on the property. It's going to be an extension of our home versus actually being our home.
Yeah, I really what that means is that I want to have the interior more versatile, because if we already have an RV and we have a permanent tiny home, then what I want to use this bus for, what I envision now is either having it be another building on the land that someone could actually live in, or a bus that we could travel with more family members, where I could say, well, we have an RV that's our home. How many people? It's just an idea.
Well, it's going to be one of those. It can't be both. So
Yeah.
that's the one thing. Versatility also doesn't work well on the road. So the more you want something to transform, the more it's going to get wiggle and potentially fall apart when you heavy usage on the road, right? A vibration. So if we decide we're going to make it really, really, really versatile, it may just be a good separate building that we can then put like transformable furniture. Like, hey, it's a bunch of couches, TVs, cool stuff.
Yeah.
Unless we have somebody sleeping over, and then maybe it transforms into bedroom, and that might be a good way to make it usable or reusable and still be a permanent structure.
Yeah.
As far as driving it around, we don't know. It's an old diesel engine, and so to some degree it should be pretty resilient and be able to get kicked back up, but also takes a diesel mechanic to maintain that, which I am not.
We are not. No. Yeah. I have told Aaron though that I would get a CDL license, which isn't required, but I would feel better
Overkill.
being trained. Yeah, I don't know how to drive
She's
a
at
bus.
least willing.
I'm willing. Yeah.
So we'll go from there. I only know how to drive a bus because I was trained when I bought it. Number one. Number two, I drove big vehicles in the past, so like very, very big vehicles. So this wasn't completely out of my experience level, but ultimately this is how often I want to move. This is very little.
Yeah. So that's the deal. That's an update.
Yep.
And hopefully we'll be posting a roof sealant video within the next couple of months. I mean, hopefully soon.
Well, no timeline on that, but as soon as we actually have that time and are not busy in something else. So, our family is large, and we have to pivot pretty much on a daily basis. If something comes up, like today, my son bit his tongue. first time ever,
Yeah.
and so
And I was out helping my dad because he's not been feeling well. But
you
I
have to,
mean,
you have to
yeah,
pivot, right? So we have to take care of him and whatever. But
it would be fair to say we would appreciate your prayers about this.
oh yeah,
We really are asking God to provide just the right land at just the right time to help us with our resources and help us to have just positive things going on with our families. So
yeah,
we respect each other and just make sure that this project comes at just the right time.
yep.
Yeah. So yeah. So we appreciate you guys.
Pray that we get the resources when we need them,
Yeah.
and that's really all that matters. God's always taking care of us, and we're God fearing people, and
Yeah.
I think he'll continue doing so. So
Yeah.
really appreciate it, everybody.
Okay. Bye, guys.